What's up, you guys? Welcome back, and we are on our way to Tampa for tomorrow's event at CC's Beauty. Tomorrow's event's going to take place at 10:30 a.m. I will be there till I think 2 p.m. and you got a chance to win the King Saladin clipper, and we're gonna have some fun. We got mannequins. I got like 20 mannequins in the back of this truck right now. If I get pulled over, they're gonna think I got bodies in the trunk. But we are gonna be up there. We'll have mannequins, we'll have stands. You can get hands-on with the tools, some techniques, might cut some models, and it's gonna be fun. So I hope that some of you guys are gonna show up in Tampa. And if there's anything you're struggling with, if you wanna learn about tools, if you got questions, if you got issues with the things you got them set up, we're there for you. We're there for you. I got about 75 more miles to go on I-75, and I'll be in Tampa in a little while. I might even stop for a second, play a little golf. So I do got the sticks on me, but I did play 18 already. So what's up, everybody? What's everybody doing this weekend? Hope you guys are doing well. Where we tapping in from? Drop a comment, let me know what's up. Yesterday we went live, we did a full haircut with the King Saladin, and it's a wonderful machine. If I could get it, it's in the back seat here. It's in the back seat and it's ready to go. So it comes with the Echo Crunch blade on it. That's really the highlight feature. Outside of the aesthetically pleasing box and King Saladin himself dropping that artwork, that street artwork on those lids, I think they're dope. Really is one of these tools that you pick up and you're gonna love instantly. So with that being said, we will be getting hands-on with the mannequins. Now, we actually developed a whole system to help you learn how to cut hair, and we have something called the Cosmetologist Crossover to Barbering curriculum, and we'll be covering a portion of that tomorrow. So what we basically do is we got 5 phases to it. So the first phase is just removing bulk, getting the hair down to skin, getting everything ready to go. Phase 2, clipper over comb, which we got mannequins, you can mess them up, you can have some fun, you can practice. What's kind of interesting about clipper over comb is it's really one of the only techniques that you can actually learn on a mannequin. Hey, how's my audio sound? Thank you for the, Ronnie, appreciate you jumping in here from Worcester, am I saying that right? So we're also gonna be talking about some business development stuff, things like that. The education team for Stylecraft is growing, and we really had quite the show in Orlando premiere. I feel like we really made some noise over there. Now that Salon Centric booth was kind of lit. Those people were crazy. They got like the size of Walmart, but we had such a packed crowd, and I can't thank you guys enough. Being able to be fortunate enough to be in a position where I've helped put a lot of this together, nothing makes me feel better than to see everything kind of working out the way it is and the way it has. And Stylecraft is not done, guys. There is quite a few exciting things that I can't quite talk about just yet that are on the way. But if we go back in time, a little bit, and I was in Buffalo, New York, just not living the right way, right? I couldn't even imagine that my life would look like this right now. So if you're still in that struggle, if you're still part of that, there's a couple of things that you got to get past, and you are the only one who can get yourself past that. One, you got to drop the nonsense friends, the people that are dragging you around. You know, you're gonna get drugged down with some of these people. So if they're not supporting you, if they're not chasing business like you are, if they're not on business like you are, like if you're standing on business, you don't need people like this around you. If people are mooching off of you, people are bringing you down, you got to get those people out of your life. 2, the mindless scrolling and the comparing yourself to others, which is so easy to do on social media these days, that's something you got to get out of your system, right? Just take my story, for example, right? I start making YouTube channel, start making videos, doing my thing. they sucked, right? They sucked bad for a while. It was a while before they were good. Now, there was people in my circle at the time telling me, man, what are you doing? You look like an idiot, this and that. But I knew that this would happen. Somehow, I just believed that if I kept making videos, no matter how bad they were, no matter how few people seen it, no matter how many views I got, I knew that I would get better and I would eventually build my audience, right? And I did. And there wasn't nobody that could tell me different because I already seen it before I got there. And part of it happened to me when I took a step back from barbering and I worked at this factory. I was fucking miserable. Miserable doesn't even describe how it was. Like, I woke up with this like feeling in my stomach that I was gonna go sit in a factory surrounded by grease, oil blowing through the air, machines, all this stuff. And it just gave me such a pit in my stomach to know that I was stuck here all this time to make an hourly wage. And I was making $12.50 an hour at this particular point in my life. And I remember sitting there working on this machine doing something that is so easy that literally they could train an animal to do this. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what decisions did I make in my life that put me here? How the fuck did I let this happen to me? You know, and I would go over and over in my head about what I was gonna do. And I started to kind of create a bit of a picture of what my future was gonna look like. And I swear to you guys, it all happened. I get fired from the factory. It was the best day of my life. I walk out there, I could breathe. I wasn't worried about anything. I went and played golf that day. I had no concerns because I knew the next day I was going to get down to business and I was going to do exactly what I wanted to do with my life going forward, whether it worked or not. And that clarity that I had, I said in 1 year I'll build my clientele back, which I lost just about all of them. And the year after that, I'll buy my own shop. All of it happened. All of it happened because I seen it in my mind before it ever happened. So dropping all this nonsense in your life, the constant drinking, the constant going out, the constant wasting of money, comparing yourself to others, dropping all of those things out of my life and just focusing on me. Maybe this was a video that didn't perform well. Okay, let's be honest with ourselves. Why? Make it better. Work harder. Do more. I'm telling you guys, you hear this from other influencers, you hear this from other people, but realistically, I ain't no different than you. And it was just wild to me. I always get this feeling before I do a class. Like even tomorrow, I'm sure I'll get this feeling, right? I walk in there, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I feel great. I got a workout in. I slept well. I am ready to do this because this is what I do. I feel like I'm at the top of my game with this. But I always have this moment where I'm like, what if nobody shows up? What if nobody shows up, right? And I had that moment in Premiere before I went and I take over the class from arguably one of the greatest barbers, bestest barber. He was actually teaching a class right before me, and I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot of people in here. I had 160 people show up in that room. And there's also the element of, it's happening here in Florida. I live in Florida. I feel like I want to be able to fill up a show or a class. Hopefully I worked hard enough to influence enough people that might want to come and spend a little time with us there. That's that feeling, and to have 160 people walk in that classroom, man, I'm beyond grateful, and I can't even put it into words sometimes. And sometimes I think about how all of this happened. I started as a cosmetologist. I did mainly women's hair for probably like 4, maybe 5 years before I really delved into barbering. And at the time, you know, I might have seen that as a weakness. Like if I wanted to do barber cuts, but I wasn't even a barber, it's actually become one of my greatest strengths. The fact that I could still do any woman's haircut, any woman's hairstyle, any woman's hair color. I can still formulate it. I can still do it. Granted, I'm a little rusty, but it would take me a very short time to put myself in that. If I wanted to go make money like that, I could. But having that element and being able to add that to these barber classes, because what are they lacking? We're talking about some things here. Let me see if you guys agree with me. I've noticed that barbers typically barbers can be influenced, but most of the time barbers cannot be educated. because there's so many barbers who feel like they have everything figured out and they don't need to learn anything. Now, cosmetology on the other side, when you graduate from cosmetology class, you know that your journey has just begun. Like if you're taking this serious, you're gonna have to go to some classes. You're gonna have to learn how to formulate color. You're gonna have to learn all the latest and greatest techniques that are gonna keep you sharp and make you stand out in this very competitive business. The cosmetologist knows this. When they leave the class, when they go to their salons do training. Some of them do training monthly. Some of them do training more than monthly. But they are all going to keep training themselves. Whereas barbers think they know it all because they cut John's hair every other Tuesday and they've been doing the same thing, not making any extra money, and really just living a monotonous, repetitive life. Why do you think I like to buy new tools so much? Some of the stuff that we're doing behind the chair every day, if you're not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, the stuff that we're doing behind the chair every day, it's really only fun until you master it. And once you master it, it almost gets monotonous and boring. And the way that you can overcome this is by going to shows, by going to classes, and getting around some people that have accomplished more than you have. And I have been fortunate enough to go to these classes, go to these shows, and put myself around people who are more motivated or more successful or more this or that than I have been. And when I leave a show, I always kind of like to do a little bit of an audit where I'm like, okay, these are the things that I want to change. These are the things that I want to try. These are the things that I want to do. And you can't help but feel enthusiastic to get to work and get the job done. So I don't know why it is that barbers can't really be educated other than the fact that they just get complacent. But I know cosmetologists can definitely be educated. When I fill these classes up, it's student barbers. There's a lot of student barbers in them, a lot of times too. But there's usually a lot more cosmetologists. We did this thing in the class where I was like, all right, raise your hand if you got a cosmetology license. Man, 90% of them raise their hands up. Raise your hand if you got a barber license. Probably 20 of them raise their hands up. So it is a bit lopsided, and I'm just curious, man. You guys been sitting here listening to this rant. You got any question on why that is? Why is it that barbers don't typically sign up for the class where the cosmetologist seems to constantly have a hunger to learn or to do more? Now, we went to Sports Clips. We did that event at Sport Clips. Those people at Sport Clips had a real big hunger to learn more. They're there educating themselves on everything. Now, if a stylist at Sport Clips can educate themselves, and some of these guys at the private shops are not educating themselves, I'm just thinking to myself, why? Why wouldn't you want to go and be around somebody like Chris Basio or Victorino or Abori Barber or Bestest? Why wouldn't you want to go around and try to learn from people who were doing things like this? All them guys that worked at that Elegant Studio, they all are like super like famous, like Taylor Cuts, Bestest Barber, Wester Barber, Victorino. Like all of these guys are like just, I don't know if you guys remember the story, but basically when they had that shop, the Elegant Studio, from what I remember just kind of watching a little bit of it, they were charging $100 a haircut at a time where like the average haircut was like $20. They found a way to do something completely different, and they found a clientele of people that would pay it. How is that not interesting to you? That you could do more. And whether it's product sales, whether it's you want to work with a company, your route to being able to do just about any of this, many of these things come from visiting events, visiting shows, and getting some opportunities to talk with some people. I mean, guys like A-Rod, Los Cut It, all these guys are always at all these shows. And everybody, when you meet them at the shows, they're always so cool, man. A lot of them will talk to you. Like some of them, give you some advice, things like that. And it's a really cool opportunity that I know a lot of these barbers are not taking advantage of. So it's interesting to me, man. I love that truck. That's that GMC Sierra, Allison transmission, AT4 Duramax turbo diesel. Yeah, it's like an $80,000 truck, y'all. I love my truck. My shit more John Blaze than his. You know, I love my truck. But now when that truck is, I don't know, guys. I've been having and then there's a Super Duty F250, 350. I be getting some truck envy sometimes. I don't know what y'all your favorite truck is, or car or whatever. My son asks me all the time, he's like, Dad, why don't you buy a Corvette? I'm like, son, I don't want no Corvette. I don't care about that. I've come to realize, and maybe it's just like the redneck in me, but this truck's getting me up to Tampa just fine. I bought it in 2013. I'm one of these people that lives pretty far below my means, and I'll always be like that because I come from nothing. I don't need to buy a whole bunch of stuff. I don't need to impress nobody. I really don't care. I'll pull up in a jalopy, but I'll give you everything I got when I show up to that show. So tomorrow, 10:30, we're gonna be doing it. And you know, we have had some really cool models this year too. We take care of our models. Most of them wind up buying them some clippers, hooking them up, doing something. And we take care of them, especially that, you know, in Chicago. When we went to Chicago, man, you guys came through. My man Zach came through. We needed models. We were filming. We didn't really have that part of the plan figured out. And literally, I went live on YouTube for just a little bit of time, and bang, we had the models we needed. We went to Orlando Academy. Orlando Barber Academy showed up. Man, my man Gus showed up, supported me in the classroom. He brought a bunch of people, and we wound up having all the models we needed. So if you're in the Tampa area and you got some nice hair, you maybe want to be a model, hit me up, drop a comment, you know. We could rock and roll on that. Nobody answered the question I got. Can barbers be educated? What type of class would entice you? What type of class would entice you as a barber? Damn, that is a nice truck. To actually sign up for it. Can barbers be educated? I know they can be influenced. I know this for a fact. Matter of fact, when I went to Fort Worth Barber Supply, and I was talking to these guys, they ride around on the trucks and they sell a lot of tools, right? I'm not gonna name no brands negatively, but when it comes to the Spanish community, they didn't want anything other than Gamma or Stylecraft. They were not interested. I mean, he was telling me I practically can't give away anything else. He's like, I can discount it as much as I want. They don't want anything to do with it. Now I'm thinking back about that, and I'm like, Victorino, Bori Barber, you know, they have a lot of love for this brand. They have a lot of reach, and what they're using, a lot of people definitely are influenced to buy it. And you know, I just think it's kind of interesting when you think about it like that. And you know, a lot of these brands that are out here at shows like Orlando Premiere, they could be looking for people just like you. You never know. Hey, has my microphone been working this whole time, or is it off? I want to make sure that you guys can hear me, man. Ain't nobody dropped a comment in a little bit, so I'm just curious, because lately I've been going with a new mic. Trying to give you guys a little bit clearer. I know the video's a little shaky. My truck is lifted and it shakes like a bastard. But yeah, we're making our way up here, and I'm just looking for a good place to play golf along the way. I'm thinking might have to stop and enjoy the rest of this day. Hey, Kenny's in the house. What up, G? Wish you were coming with me. I know you're probably still cutting hair. My man Kenny's a perfect example of somebody who just got in the shop and made it a better place right away. This guy shows up early. This guy leaves late. If this guy doesn't have a customer, he's hanging out. And this is what it takes to build. And already now, he's so busy that I need a haircut. And I ain't got one. So that's, you know, that's a good, let that be a good example. I mean, a lot of you guys are newer that watch the channel, and maybe you don't have a clientele yet or whatever. If you put yourself in the right position, you stay at the shop as long as it takes to build, you'll have a clientele before you know it. You have a clientele before you know it. It'll take you about a year, year and a half, and you'll be so busy, you can raise your prices, you can do whatever you want to do. So at the end of the day, if you're booked for like 3 weeks out, I would say 2 to 3 weeks out, you're booked that far out, you probably can start raising your prices. You know, it's really just a supply and demand thing. And I really think back when all the shops got shut down, I really think we all started to understand that we could be charging more for a haircut. One of my customers came in the other day. He had to go to Supercuts in California. I don't know if you guys heard this story yesterday. I was talking about this on the live, but he went to Supercuts in California, paid $65 in Santa Monica. He pays $65 for a Supercut haircut. It just got me thinking, like, who knows where this business is going? But what does a haircut cost in the city you guys are in? He said, here in Jersey, there's nothing but dispensaries and barbershops in my town. So do you hit them in that order? You go to the dispensary and then you go to the barbershop? But how much does a haircut cost? You know, for those of you guys who are in the room, how much does a haircut cost in the city that you live in? You know, just out of curiosity, because it definitely seems like if we wanted to raise our prices higher, it really wouldn't be that big of a problem. Most cases, and that's after you're booked. You know, that's after you're booked. There's so many people in this business that you're going to come in contact with. You got guys that are going to be senior citizens that take you 5 minutes to cut, and they're going to tip you an extra 100 on top. You got guys that want to fade, they want their eyebrows done, beard done, the whole nine, everything, and they might not even tip you at all. You know, this business isn't really fair like that. It could be a wash. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you think about it, would you rather have somebody who's finicky, giving you a hard time all the time, or would you rather have something that, you know, someone who really just appreciates you, appreciates your time, and, you know, pays you? He said $35 to $50, depending on where you're going. I think that's about standard. You know, I think in like places like New York City, really competitive. There's shops that are going to charge less, but they ain't spending that much time on you. You know, and obviously there's shops that are going to charge more. You know, places like Chicago, places that are just really, really competitive with a lot of people in it. You got your high volume shops, and you got your lower volume shops. You know, so it's going to be one or the other. And, you know, there's a million ways to do this. I think it's kind of interesting that places like Supercuts can do, you know, you could do 30 people a day if you're working there. And you do 30 people a day, 7 days a week, and they can have 14, 15 people doing it, and they're making it hourly. Now, you would think to yourself, as a person who likes to have their haircut really nice, you might say, man, I don't want to go there and get a haircut. You know, they're going to give a bad haircut. But they're not really giving you a bad haircut. They're giving you the best haircut they can within the 11 minutes that they're allowed. You know, whatever it is, 14 minutes, 11 minutes. When I was there, I remember we needed to keep our haircuts under like 11 minutes. So it's just, there's a million ways to skin this cat. So you can definitely raise your prices without issue, and there'll be people that want to pay it, and there'll be people that don't. You know, there's a budget for everybody. And just like my pop always used to say, when it comes to selling cars, he used to sell a lot of cars, always working on them, selling them. He used to say, there's an ass for every seat. Where the hell am I? Maybe Bradenton or something? It's like a big ass mall right here. What is this? Yeah, this looks like a big outdoor mall. It looks pretty cool. Man, this place got like a lot going on, man. A lot of businesses around here. He said, I've been self-cutting since the beginning of this year. I just like working with my hands. I get it. Tell you what, man, I used to cut my hair on my own all the time. Dude, lately, man, it just like cramps up my hands so bad to work on the back. The sides are cool. I don't mind doing the sides, but the back, man, I'd rather not. But anyhow, I got what I wanted to get said to you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the live. I appreciate you guys all for checking in, hanging out. Tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. at CC's Beauty. We'll be doing the event there. And, you know, if you guys want to join me, you guys feel free to it. If you are in the area, just look up CC's Beauty. I don't have the flyer on me, but I've posted it on my story a few times, on Instagram a few times, and I'm sure if you just look up CC's Beauty, you'll see what it's all about, and we'll be up there. He said I use a 12.9 iPad to see the back. That's not a bad idea, bro. That's not a bad idea. It's not so much seeing it, it's me putting my hand in a weird position, you know? But, all right, I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate your support. This is the YouTube Barber Academy with over 1,000 videos to help you learn. Shit, we're gonna get to the point we got 2,000 videos to help you learn. But we'll be going live again probably tomorrow at some point, whether it's at the event or whether it's, you know, on the way home or something like that. Sammy JJ sending love from Portage, Michigan. No shit. That's awesome, man. I've been to Detroit one time. It was awesome. I actually felt like I was in Buffalo. It was very, very similar Midwesterner kind of feel. So, all right, y'all. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.